Hello, today we have Paul Mann, CEO of ASP Isotopes, trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker ASPI. Paul, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back.
ASP Isotopes, an advanced materials company dedicated to developing technology and processes to produce isotopes in multiple industries. Paul, start with a brief overview of your operations.
Now, we have two technologies we're developing for the enrichment of isotopes, both of which originated from South Africa. One of our technologies is being used in two plants in South Africa today. Both of those plants will start producing free cash flow during the first half of this year, and that should really put us in a strong position to really grow the company from there. The second technology will probably more kind of start producing isotopes in the 2025-2026 timeframe on a much larger scale. And we started this company about 3 years ago. When we identified this technology in South Africa, we realized the need for more isotope enrichment in the world, and we recognized this could really change how many materials that are really needed in today's society and future societies, how they're produced, where they come from. So we bought the assets out of bankruptcy about 2 years ago. It's taken us 2 years to get to where we are now, and we're really looking forward to starting to generate our first free cash flow this first half year.
Speaking of your accomplishments, 2023, your first full year as a company on the NASDAQ, a big year. Could you elaborate on some of the key milestones that you achieved last year and how those accomplishments are aligning with the company's long-term vision?
Yeah, wow. So 2023 was a big year for us. So yeah, you're right. It was our full year on NASDAQ as a publicly traded company. So I guess, right at the start of the year, we started our first plant up. So we commissioned our first plant. So when you think about it, in less than 15 months from forming the company, we started our first plant up. And that's now ready to start producing commercial product, which will come through in the first half of this year. We made a lot of progress towards our second plant, and that will start up this year and start generating free cash flow as well. In terms of contracts, we actually signed a couple of really important contracts for the company last year, both with North American customers. And North America's got a huge shortage of isotope enrichment capabilities, so it's great for us to be supplying North American customers with enriched isotopes. The first was for a carbon-14 contract, and the second was for an undisclosed metal. In total, they're about $11.5 million of revenues, minimum, maybe more. So that was another major achievement. And I guess the final major achievement was us in forming a subsidiary called Quantum Leap Energy. And there's a huge need for new sources of enriched nuclear fuels. The world is really short of enriched nuclear fuels, and we'd like to help solve this problem. So, we signed 2 MOUs with US nuclear companies to supply them with enriched uranium in years to come. And actually, their total needs are over $30 billion over the next sort of 10, 15 years or so. And so to sign those MOUs and get that company formed and start the regulatory processes in various countries to build those plants, that, I guess, was the final major milestone for the year. But yeah, a really big year for us, 2023.
Excellent news. I want to get to that catchily named Quantum Leap Energy, which you just mentioned. You formed it last year. How does ASP Isotopes plan to impact the nuclear fuel market with Quantum Leap Energy, particularly, Paul, regarding small modular reactors and their benefits?
So yeah, so that's a hell of a question. I could spend all day talking about that. But to give you the Reader's Digest version, small modular reactors are likely the future of nuclear energy. It basically takes production line economics into the nuclear reactor world. So it really brings down the cost of nuclear energy, whereby emerging market countries can afford to use it. And you're only going to change the outlook for the carbon emission of the world if you can make renewable energy cheap enough for emerging markets to use. You have to have that. And right now, that's not really possible with nuclear energy. SMRs allow that to happen. The problem from SMRs is they require a fuel called HALEU, high assay, low enriched uranium. And right now, there is no Western producer of that fuel. So Quantum Leap Energy's goal is to create the nuclear fuels the world will need in the future, specifically HALEU and lithium-6, which will enable nuclear fusion. So on HALEU, which is our immediate need, or the world's immediate need, our goal is to start plants up in the next few years to enable SMR companies to start production before the end of the decade using HALEU that we produce. And our goal is to produce HALEU at a price point that allows it to compete with a green advantage rather than the green disadvantage over the cost of carbon-based energy. So that's our goal. We're working hard towards that. We're talking to multiple governments about where we're going to build our first plant, and we hope to have more news on that in the first half of this year.
Now, Paul, as you know, there are many challenges relating to the global supply chain for isotopes. How does ASP Isotopes plan to establish itself as a reliable supplier of critical isotopes given those challenges? And number two, how big is the market opportunity you would be addressing?
Well, 85% of stable isotopes are currently produced by Russia. And in terms of new isotopes needed to enable technologies of the future, such as quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and new forms of medicine, there really aren't any producers of those isotopes right now today. So we intend to fill that gap in either replacing current Russian supply or bringing new isotopes to the market. It's actually been a pretty easy discussion with potential customers because when you think about it, they're looking for long-term suppliers of critical materials in their supply chain, and they want a reliable supplier who can deliver those to them on time and on spec. And so, it's actually been a pretty easy conversation with those customers. Our first two plants will start up in South Africa during the first half of this year and start producing free cash flow. Our future plants are more likely going to be in Iceland, where we benefit from very cheap energy. And we're actually asking our customers to make large down payments to own parts of those plants to make sure they have access to those isotopes. So if we can produce isotopes at the lowest cost in the world and we have long-term supply agreements with buyers of isotopes, I think we're putting ourselves in a great position for the longer term.
Management is key to the success of smaller cap companies, as you know, Paul. Who are some of the key players on the ASP Isotopes team?
Yeah, listen, we've got a great management team here who collectively have spent hundreds of years involved in isotope enrichment in South Africa. We have about 70 employees in South Africa. Over half of those have got advanced degrees. We've got over 10 PhDs working for us in areas of nuclear physics and chemical engineering and chemistry. And that allows us to really put together a team that can build plants on spec and on time. And on top of that, we've got a great independent board of directors who have got collectively tens to hundreds of years of experience on Wall Street, managing companies, public companies. And again, that oversight allows us to really make sure that we perform to the highest of our potential.
Paul, it truly has been a big year for ASP Isotopes. H.C. Wainwright came out in December with a $3.25 price target on your company. That was an initiation of coverage. Tell us, what is the essential value proposition, Paul, and why should investors take an interest in ASP Isotopes right now?
Isotopes is a really unique, challenging industry to get involved in. The barriers to entry here are huge. And so we have a position already in this industry, and we're going to grow that. And our goal is to become a dominant supplier of isotopes in the future, both for isotopes that are currently needed today, as well as isotopes that are going to enable technologies in the future, such as green energy and quantum computing. And listen, we hope to deliver substantial investor returns while we do that as well. So that's, there's a lot of news flow coming up in the next 12 months too.
Paul, thanks for checking in with us. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you for your interest. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.